And starting the stream. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. This is OotiniCast episode 270. Being recorded whenever hell today is, sometime late July, I guess. And let me just stop that. So this is obviously, I keep forgetting the disclaimer. The raw version of the show, all flubs, etc., left intact. You can watch live now, obviously, with the final heavily edited version published as an MP3. And we mostly record on Wednesdays at 4:30 PM Pacific, but probably from next week we're going to be doing it on Thursday, so we're going to have to change things. But we will see. Guest today, Chill will introduce, but it's Charlie and Blachlock. Now, Charlie was on last week, but both of those guys were obviously at Star Wars Celebration, so we're going to hear all about that.
Lovely.
Yes. Alright, just tweeting, and then we go. Tweeting as OotiniCast, that would make sense. 270. Alright, tweet is out. Let's retweet Dex tweet. And Charlie's, oops, that was me, that's not gonna work. Yeah, it will. And Charlie.
Yes.
Yes. Alright, let's do this. Everyone is recording, just confirming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Alright, do it.
All right. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. The power that you give this podcast, we will lay down once this crisis has abated. This is episode 270, being recorded on Wednesday, July 20th, 2016. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guests today, fresh from Star Wars Celebration, are Charlie Kranatoko and Blachlach, better known as Blay. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hello.
All right, Charlie. Let's start off with you then. How have you been? And tell us a little bit about your week.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, obviously I'll just start out with the just SWTOR what I've just been doing this week when I came back from Celebration. Just did a bit of Inquisitor, bit of Smuggler, and that's all I've really done on SWTOR. But obviously the main thing which I've been doing is going to Star Wars Celebration. Went there on Thursday, came back on Sunday. I kind of wish I could have gone on Sunday, but unfortunately I had to actually come home. I stupidly booked my train for midday, so I know it was like £30 or £40 just to change it to a different time. So I just wasn't going to pay that. So obviously, day one, when I got to London, obviously went to go get my badge. Oh, damn it, I've not got my badge around me. Oh well. There is a picture of the badge in the show notes of what it looks like for the 3-day pass. So you had to. So obviously I went there, and you could have actually, because I think Blay, you did. Did you stay overnight?
For the queue, no, I didn't queue up overnight. I went ridiculously early, but not overnight.
Because we went, me, my friend Seb, and his girlfriend, we went there around about 8 o'clock in the evening just before the day before the first day, and got our badges and all that, and we were starting to queue up because we knew they were going to start giving out wristbands for Rogue One. And I thought, okay, well, we'll queue up, and then they came around and said, well, you're not even going to get the wristbands until 6 o'clock in the morning. So I thought, there's no way I'm going to stay there the whole night. I'm just going to go back to my hotel and then see what happens. Fortunately, I managed to get into the streaming one for Rogue One, so I still got the poster, which obviously everybody who saw the Rogue One stream at the actual event got given. When I actually made it to Celebration on day one, the line was huge. Didn't actually get into the convention until about 10:15, I'd say. My first thing which I thought I'd go to do is obviously meet Mark Hamill, which I said I was going to do last week, because obviously I paid for that. I was batch 5, and I was told to go away until 1:30 when batch 5 was actually going to be done, so obviously I actually went away. Then I went just around the convention centre, went to speak to Eric Musco, because I went to the SWTOR booth. I just sort of said hi to him, he said hi to me. I don't think he realised who I was to begin with. It was just sort of like Eric Musco, oh hi, and that was kind of it. And it was just an
Right.
awkward situation. I think he was a bit busy, sort of guiding everybody through Knights of the Fallen Empire Chapter 1. Then afterwards, I met Blay. Yes, we decided to
Yay.
meet up in the actual convention, had a small chat, and then he went away, although I'll probably tell you this later on. He went over to Ahsoka's Untold Tales, I believe you went, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, of course. Then I also just went to buy some t-shirts, which I didn't bring to show, unfortunately, but it's just like an X-Wing kind of t-shirt, and sort of, it has the Star Wars Force Awakens logo and like different colour patches of the characters. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that sort of t-shirt, but it's a very common one. Then I went back at 1:30 to get my photo with Mark Hamill. And after about 45 minutes of waiting, they eventually told us that anybody who wasn't batch 1 to 4 should just go away and come back at 4:20 p.m. because obviously I was batch 5. I will say this: the communication for the photos absolutely appalling. It's just,
Yeah, sounds it.
There was literally no communication whatsoever. We were just standing there, they were just shouting batch 1, batch 2, and it's like people at the back couldn't hear. It was just, they needed a megaphone or something like that. It was horrible, and of course people waiting around and nobody exactly knew what was going on. But obviously I went away until after the Rogue One stream. Then obviously I queued up for the Rogue One stream at the behind the scenes stage, which is the only one I can go to. There was quite a few of us that was confused, because I know there was a lot of people who watched it online, but they showed the showreel thing about like the behind the scenes stuff 3 times, and I got confused, obviously because we were in the behind the scenes stage and Blair was at the actual main stage, but we got confused in our stage because obviously they were showing it 3 times, but they were showing it perfectly. Whereas I believe you said in the celebration stage, Blade, that there was a problem showing the video. But for us, there was no problems at all. So we were just all like, why what's going on? Why are they showing
Why are we
this?
seeing it 3 times? Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't exactly know what was going on, but I guess for everybody else who was watching, there were problems. I imagine. What else have I got here? Yeah. So, and obviously at the end of the stream, the end of the Rogue One panel, they showed a smaller trailer. It was only about a minute long. Obviously, it's been leaked online now. Haha! What a surprise! Just a mix of a little old and a little new footage. Obviously, where they do their cut to black effect, it's a great effect when they do it in time with the music. It's absolutely amazing. Obviously, got the free poster. Then I eventually went to go get my picture taken with Mark Hamill. By the time I got there, because obviously it was after the Rogue One panel, they were on to batch 12, so I was like, oh, well, they got through that quick, probably because everybody was in the Rogue One panel at the time. And I moved pretty quickly. However, once I was sort of like in the area where Mark Hamill was, they were just sort of doing the pictures at a normal pace, just blah 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 blah. Somebody accidentally stepped on Mark Hamill's dog, and I was sort of, so I could see him right in front of me, and somebody actually stepped on his dog, which I guess delayed people a little bit because he had to go and comfort the dog. And I don't know if it was his dog or not. I know the dog appeared on an hour with Mark Hamill, but I can't remember if it was his own dog or not. I didn't really watch the panel for Mark Hamill.
Did you have a chance to speak to him, or it was just
for like 5 seconds? It was more just oh, it's really great to meet you, and he's just doing his, I guess, generic, oh, it's really great to meet you too. Took a picture, and that was it. His agent, I think it was his agent anyway, actually went up to him while there was still quite a few of us queuing up, saying, I overheard, I think, we just don't have time to do any more photos, but he was adamant that everybody else there would have their photo. I thought it was a bit of a weird thing for the agent to say, so I might be wrong in what she said, but that's just what I overheard. But he was adamant that everybody else got their photo. And then that's when they started to quicken the pace. The person who was just sort of sending people to go and get the photo, she was just saying, right, as soon as this person's gone, get in, go, and then you're done. So just shook his hand, said it was great to see him, he was great to see me, took the picture, and that was it. And gone, just like that.
Did you get your money's worth?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I'm probably never going to meet him again, ever, so I got a nice, it's a pretty decent picture. I wish I was smiling a bit more, but because it was rushed, it was just get in there and go, and I was like, oh, I didn't have time to put my smile on, oh no, oh god. So that was pretty much it for day 1. Day 2, didn't really do much. All I really did was just sort of walked around with my friends again, looked at costumes. Obviously, I got a bunch of pictures in the show notes of the sort of stuff I'd done. Met some Jawas as well, and I thought, well, I've got to get a picture of those with the for the OotiniCast, of course. Once I'd actually taken a picture, one of the Jawas was actually looking in my bag because I was carrying a rucksack, and I was like, what are you doing? And I was a bit concerned. You stealing from my bag? So I just it was a very funny moment. I know they were just doing it.
It'd be a very Jawa thing to do, actually.
I know they were just doing it just to be funny, but I was just like, I thought I'd check my bag anyway, just in case. Just you never know. What else? Oh yes, and I've got it right next to me as well. So I was going to. There was like obviously many shops all around the convention center, and I was going to buy a lightsaber. Now, Kylo Ren's lightsaber was there as well, and that was £170, I believe. I was debating whether to get Kylo Ren's lightsaber or Darth Vader's lightsaber. There was even Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, but Luke Skywalker's was £345. I was not going to pay that much. So I was debating between Kylo Ren's and Darth Vader's. Kylo Ren's was £170, Darth Vader's was £230. And in the end, I bought Darth Vader's. I know a lot of money for a lightsaber, but it looks absolutely amazing. I don't know if anybody can see.
With the blade as well. Very nice.
Yes, even
now, presumably for that much money, it would be fully functional.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Yeah, right, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And of course, you sort of move it around, it does like little sort of swishing noises
that's
as well.
That's a ridiculous amount of money, Charlie. Just saying.
I know. If you hit it hard enough, I think. There you go. So, apparently it's pretty durable. It's pretty durable. But yeah, it is a ridiculous amount of money, but I like it. It's cool, and I guess I could use it again if I ever go to another Star Wars celebration one day.
Yeah.
$460 worth. Just
yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it, really. I took my lightsaber back to my hotel because I didn't exactly want to be carrying it around the whole time. I know there was a whole bunch of other people who did. The reason why I didn't get Kylo Ren's lightsaber is because the actual hilt was actually made of plastic compared to Darth Vader's, which is actually metal. And I prefer like a metal hilt because there's obviously more work put into it.
Right.
So that's pretty much my Star Wars celebration.
Nice. Are we gonna talk about the canteen a little later?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Blay. So tell us about your week and your time at the celebration.
Can I just ask a question about a lightsaber for a minute? When you say it's fully functional, do you mean it's fully functional as in you can actually cut through stuff?
No,
what?
Sadly not.
Aww.
I want it for that kind of money. I want something that's fully functional. I want it to
agreed.
Yeah, it's true.
Actually cut through metal.
I don't want to cut my hand off though. I think if I had a real one, I'd accidentally cut my hand off.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm reckless.
My son just this week asked me, would you rather dual-wield lightsabers or have a two-bladed light staff, if in real life? And I said, well, I'd rather have a two-bladed light staff in real life because I think it'd be slightly easier to control and I'd be less likely to chop my legs off.
That's a very good point. I think I'd still go with the dual wield just because it's cooler, no matter the risk.
I think I'd just go for a very long blade. I'll just poke them from a distance.
How about a blaster? That works.
There we go.
Anyway, I just thought I'd ask. My weekend game this week has been pretty much just trying to do the Dark versus Light event, which is slowly becoming the bane of my life. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go for the top tier. I'm still one of these people who's kind of playing around with just doing bits while I wait for the next chapter.
Sure.
But I decided to go for the Dark 5 and Light 5 using diplomacy skills. And oh my word, it takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
You start off with a mission that takes a couple of minutes and gives you 2 points. 2 points!
Yeah.
And you gotta get to 10,000.
Best not to think about it too hard, Blay. Did you do a spreadsheet to calculate just how many missions it would require to get there?
Not how many missions it would require, but what I did do was plot. Well, hey, it's a spreadsheet. Of course, I did a spreadsheet.
Indeed.
I did a spreadsheet to plot how long a mission would take and how many points it'd give you. and how many points it would give you, and how much it would cost to do the mission. So I
Okay.
could try and calculate which missions would give me the most amount of points for the least amount of time.
Yep.
What I found out was that grade 6 missions for moderate and adequate, is it? Yeah, it's adequate, isn't it? Those will give you the most amount of points for the least amount of time. So they're the most time effective missions. So once I could actually get up to a high enough level, what I ended up doing was just using moderate and adequate missions for levels 6, 7 and 8. So I got a kind of a mix of cost effective and time effective. And it only took a couple of hours that way to try and get it from Dark 5 down to Light 5. Still a long time though.
Yeah.
Apart from that, someone reminded me that it was bounty hunter week, so I decided to go and grab those bounties while I could.
Oh, damn, I missed that.
That's
Meant to do
alright.
some more of
It'll
that.
be back in a month.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll have plenty of time for doing that one. It's not like some of the other events which might only come up once in this window.
Yeah.
Although it depends how big the window is, we don't know yet.
Sounds like the Greer event will only come back to once. And then the Rat Girl, who knows? Because that one is unpredictable, apparently.
Yeah. So, apart from that, it's all celebrations. I went up there on the Thursday, and I returned back on Monday. So I actually stayed for the last day for the closing ceremony as well, which was, well, I'll talk about that a little bit in a moment.
Okay.
On my first day, got it, so I wandered. Well,
Hang on, Blay. You were cutting out there a bit. Could you repeat that, please?
yeah, okay, yeah, certainly. On the first day, I arrived at the convention centre, and the first thing I did was went and checked out houses like there. So I checked that out first. Then after that, I went in and got my tickets for the show. That was about 8 o'clock on a Thursday, and I could see that people were queuing up already at that point. Wristbands that you'd be given the following morning.
Okay.
I looked at the queue and thought, yeah, I'm not doing that. I've paid for a really nice hotel room. I'm not going to stay sleeping on a concrete floor all night.
Exactly,
That's just
my
ridiculous.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, what I
People
actually
did,
did
though.
was... Oh yeah, no, absolutely, people did. There was quite a large queue there at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, they were actually queuing to get into the queue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the queue wasn't even open at that point.
What?
It was absolutely ridiculous. So I went
Well,
back
that's
to my
Star
hotel
Wars
room.
fans for
when-
you.
Tell me about it. Room, going to bed at about 10 o'clock at night. Waking up at, I set my alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning. At 10 to 3 in the morning. And decided, well, I'm up. I may as well. So, fortunately, my hotel room was only about 10 minutes walk from the convention centre. So, managed to get in there, go into the hall, and lo and behold, there was about 6 rows of queues for this place already. Fortunately, though, because everyone was sitting down, as soon as they stood up, the 6 queues compressed down to about 4 queues. So, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, they made everyone stand up so that they could get more people into the queues. So I ended up standing up from 4 in the morning till 6. Just to get a wristband to go in to see Rogue One.
Right.
Poor legs.
Jeez, I hope it was worth it.
Oh, it so was. It
That's
really, really was. But, in fairness to them, once they got the queues moving, the queues were really, really quick going through, and they were giving out armbands or wristbands fairly quickly. So you weren't You weren't sort of having to hang around once the queues actually started, but they did open the queues about 5 minutes late, so I thought there was going to be a riot if they didn't open them up soon. So I managed to queue up, get my wristband for Rogue One, and then I had to queue again then to get a wristband to go and see a shop. That was it then for me for the day in terms of panels that I could get into.
Okay, what was that second one? You were kind of roboting there for a bit.
Okay. It's the panel for Star Wars: A New Hope. I think my hanger was cut out.
You're still on. Blake, are you downloading anything in the background? Or uploading?
No, I shouldn't be.
You've got a torrent
Stand.
running, if it makes it cleaner.
Yeah, because you're doing this weird thing where you're slowing way down and then you speed up real quick. In both ways, it's really hard to understand you. Yeah. And the words are queuing up.
Charlie, is still doing the same thing?
He's doing that to me now. Chill is as well.
When?
Tio, you sound good to me. Charlie sounds a little off, and Blaze the only one that sounds really robotic.
You say that with a
Pretend
robot
it's
right
Still
now.
problems from. I know that BT internet failed this morning. I don't know if they're still having problems from that.
Okay, could be some, yeah. It's alright, we will persevere. We'll be okay.
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 So, yeah. So for the second wristband, I went for the showing of the movie, and that was quite sort of interesting. But for the first panel in the morning, there was a special showing of Ahsoka: The Untold Tales with Dave Filoni and Ashley, who plays Ahsoka, and she was pressing throughout the entire sort of panel to try and say, "Am I dead? Am I alive? Can you tell me?" Dave Filoni was sort of being quite coy and not really saying anything. But towards the end of the panel, he did actually say that we will see Ahsoka again.
Right.
Oh, good.
Maybe as a Force Ghost?
No. No, and
she survived.
I know she's not going to be a Force Ghost because in the Rebels panel, someone specifically asked would she come back as a Force Ghost.
Right.
And Dave Filoni said, I don't think she has the knowledge to become a Force Ghost at this time.
Okay.
So it's almost an admission that she's still alive and coming back, as you're probably going to get.
Grand Admiral Thrawn has returned.
Yes.
Well, has appeared for real in the new canon. There he is.
Yeah.
Don't like his voice, but yeah. How cool is that? Is everyone frozen, or are we waiting for play?
You're really robotic to me now, Tio.
Yeah, everyone's robotic at the moment. Everyone seems to be having problems for some strange reason.
Let me just check.
They all sound like drunk robots.
Yes.
Everybody seems robotic for me.
Right,
now.
something in... It's taken up quite a lot of band.
Alright, so everyone drop down to low bandwidth, please, and we'll go from there. Low bandwidth. Low bandwidth.
Where is that?
Under the gear, the looks like the mobile strength icon up the top.
Okay, hang on a sec.
Adjust bandwidth usage. Switch to low.
It's helped a lot.
Hopefully.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Sounds good. Are we still drunk robots? Drunk robots.
No, you sound pretty good.
Beep beep.
And Charlie sounds better. How about you, Blay?
Yeah,
I don't know. How do I sound?
You sound
I say
great.
Sound a lot better.
sound great.
Fantastic. All right, so
Okay.
sorry
Still
about that,
sound
guys.
Welsh, but
Fucking
Um,
hangouts. Just saying. It's been pretty good recently, but today clearly it has shat itself. All right, right, Blade. Where were you?
Rogue One.
Excellent.
So, managed to get into a Rogue One panel, which was really, really exciting to be in the room when all the stars come out on the stage. Every single actor, pretty much, who's in this film was there and on the stage, and each one of them were asked to talk about their character. Every single one of them was really, really guarded about what they could and couldn't say. So it was a case of, I think I can tell you my name is... It was that kind of thing. But then you had one actor who basically went, I've got a big gun, I can't speak much English, and then he
I've got
went
a
and
big
dropped a
gun.
major spoiler for the entire movie. And the reaction of some of the other actors was absolutely hilarious.
See, no, I thought he did drop the spoiler, but I thought they kind of just brushed over it. Like immediately, I thought it was just well, everybody sort of knows that. But I think I know what you mean. I won't say. But I think I
I'm
know
not going
what
to
you
say
mean.
what it is, but it's an absolute spoiler. It was just such a major, he wasn't supposed to say that. The entire audience just looked
When
at
he
each
said it,
other.
nobody reacted though, apart from the audience.
Or look at, there's a video, and have a look at Alan's reaction sitting next to him.
Oh really?
There's an actual clip of it.
I must have missed that.
Oh, it's a good clip. So, went in, like Charlie said, there was a bit of a technical hitch. They started showing the sizzle trailer, which they called it, and it broke down, so then they had to show it to us again, which obviously everyone outside was a bit confused as to why we've seen it twice. And then at the very, very end, we got to see it a third time.
I love it how like when they showed it the third time, the woman just sort of came up to the stage and sort of said to I've actually forgotten her name. What is her name now?
Kathleen Kennedy.
No. Who plays Captain Phasma? I can't believe I've forgotten her name.
Oh, Gwendolyn
Gwendolyn
Christie. or
Christie.
something.
I just love how the woman came up and was all like, "Sizzle one more time, sizzle one more time," and everybody's just sort of heard it. I was just like, "Wow, great professionalism there. Well done."
Yeah, but we managed to get another viewing of the sizzle, and then it cut out then so that it wasn't being streamed all around the world, and then we got to see an extra little part, which, like Charlie says, has been pretty much leaked now anyway.
Okay.
My friend-
That's been shown.
My friend and I, literally earlier on, about a few hours ago, were discussing how the Rogue One panel, they didn't really organise that as well as they should have. Yeah, sure, they had the main celebration stage, they had the behind the scenes stage, and they had the galaxy stage, all showing it. Obviously, the celebration stage was where it was mainly at. But what they could have done, because there's so many people who, when I was queuing up just to watch the stream of it, were actually saying, "Oh, can I queue up as well? Oh no, sorry, you need a wristband." They could have just... There's like so many empty spaces in the Excel Centre. They could have just taken one of the massive empty spaces where all the stalls would normally be anyway, just put up a screen where people could just sort of stand around and watch the stream, but they did none of that. I don't know if they did it at the Star Wars show live stage, because obviously I wasn't there, but they just needed something for everybody else to see it. Otherwise you just had to watch it online.
Well, there were a few spare seats inside the main stage where I was, and basically Jess, Stardust, was lucky enough that someone came out, went up to her, went, "I like your lipstick, there's a seat in here, come in and sit down." So she was basically dragged into the main stage to see it, and she didn't have a wristband, nothing. She hadn't queued up in the morning. She just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
All right,
that
guys.
where she was
That's
wearing
that's your tip. Wear lipstick.
Is
Yeah.
that where she was wearing her Queen Amidala lipstick?
Yes.
Oh,
Ah,
well,
yes.
okay. So wear Queen Amidala lipstick.
Yes. The other showings I went to see the big showing of the Star Wars New Hope, which was really, really weird. Because of my age, I never got to see A New Hope in the actual cinema. So to see it on a big screen for the first time was quite exciting.
I assume that's the latest incarnation of A New Hope that George Lucas has done again and again. Okay.
Yes.
So all the extra monsters and stuff.
Not the original cut, which no longer apparently exists.
Not the original. The only problem I had with it, and I'll check this with Chill now. So Chill, you're in a cinema. Obi-Wan comes onto the screen, and you do. Okay, obviously nothing.
Yeah, no, it's not the Rocky Horror Picture Show, so I don't really do anything.
Okay, well, when I was there, it would be like a new character comes in onto the screen. Yeah!
Ah, okay.
They say a lot.
Well, yeah, if I'm gonna see it with 500 huge Star Wars fans, then I'm gonna scream every time a new character comes on. Sure, why not?
See, now I'm British. I found this very, very strange. But they'd say a line such as, let's have a think. Only stormtroopers are so precise. Yeah!
What?
Greedo shoots. Yeah! Everything.
That's great.
It's just yelling throughout the entire movie. I just couldn't believe it. I was just sitting there thinking, this is a bit strange. It's a very, very strange experience.
Well, yeah, this is you're seeing the movie inside the convention for the movie, so that's a different thing. I think a certain amount of cheering is expected.
This is England. I'm not used to this kind of thing. This is my thoughts on the time. Apart from that, on the second day, I went to see the Rebels season 3. And that had various stars from the movie, and they went through various bits of what's going to come up in season 3, talking about how Tom Baker's going to be in it.
In what?
Really?
Mentioned the return of Admiral Thrawn, and as you can imagine, yeah, everyone went a bit mental for that as well. It was an interesting panel, and it was quite a good watch, but what I really enjoyed about it was at the very, very end, they sort of closed down the stream out to the world, and we got to see the first 2 episodes of season 3.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I know the next season starts. So that was really exciting.
I would like to know what the hell's up with what Kanan has on his head. I haven't actually seen the last episodes of season 2. I assume that all makes sense.
Yes, if you've seen the last one, you'll understand.
Right, okay.
The last panel I went to see was actually the closing ceremony, and it was probably the most disappointing one because there was absolutely nothing new in it. We weren't given the title of Star Wars 8. We weren't given... Well, we weren't really given a lot. We got to see a lot of the actors, and we got to meet the new Han Solo, which was quite... interesting.
Does he? Did they choose well?
Yes. Yeah, they show someone who looks like he's got a lot of charisma.
If they're going for before A New Hope kind of Han Solo, maybe I don't know 6 or so years, I guess he could look like him. I mean, I really dislike the hate where it's all like, oh, why are you making a Han Solo movie? Come on, Disney have done well with Star Wars. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite looking forward to that movie. I think it could be quite good. The one thing which I found interesting is that the directors of it are the people who did the Lego movie. So we can probably expect some sort of musical to come from it, with everyone singing "Everyone is awesome."
Well, or maybe not.
Everything is awesome.
Well, one thing about Rogue One that made it, or makes it look potentially interesting, is it's so different to any other Star Wars movie. I mean, it's a Star Wars story, but it so looks gritty and dark and war film like that. It's just different. So who knows what directions they could take all of the spin-off movies. It's just not real Star Wars, but it's still in the Star Wars universe. And why not?
It could well be a full-on comedy. We don't know at this point. The last thing I did then, before the... I pretty much did it every single day, really, just to hassle Musco. was I went and did a sort of flyby of the stand, and the game looked absolutely amazing. But then I was sort of looking at the spec of the machines that they were using, and the spec of the machines were probably about, I don't know, $3,000 a PC probably. They were incredibly high spec, but they were using the Red Eclipse server, which I found quite interesting.
They were?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I forgot to mention as well. I sort of met up with Blair as well, and then of course I met Jess. And I spoke to Charles Boyd and Ben Irving, and yeah, that was fun.
Apart from that, I did the Cantina, which we will talk about later.
Excellent. All right. Tio, how about your week?
Zero time in game. My daughter was sick, and I've been spending time in Canberra. I did get up at 4 a.m. to my time to watch the panel involving James Olin, etc., which we'll talk about later.
Right.
Which I almost wish I hadn't, because, well, anyway.
Isn't a ton on it, really. Not a lot of meat on those bones.
That's absolutely true. We will get there later. But anyway, and I'm going away this weekend to Hamilton Island, which is an island in our Great Barrier Reef, for 3 nights, and that should be absolutely spectacular. But none of it is SWTOR related. So anyway, over to you, Chill.
All right, first a shout out to the chat room. El Show is here, Blaze here, Bo Daddy, Count Luku, Darth Aro, Darth Brundlefly, Dekion, Dispel 53, Dreadx, Elion D2, Evil Nano 69, Floridan, Fiona, Higster, Jaggedfell, Jetty Jag, Jossfan, Charlie Krantoko is here, Morlin, Kuze is here, Sapphire, Shiftworks, Sith Kitty, Sludgester, Van Wa Aran, Wastegate, Zaranja, Yam SWTOR are all here. And is that everyone? It's not letting me go any further, so I guess that is it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. All right. Did lots of streaming this week. I got Chill Santa through Bel Savis. I'm actually really enjoying doing the Santa character. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes people comment, whisper me and stuff in the game, and also sometimes, of course, there's just funny things you can say because you're Santa going through a SWTOR story. So really enjoying that. Found that, and I think I remember it from back in the day too. But once you get to like Act 2, there's like all the people on your ship who are coming along for the ride, sort of. And there's a lot of weird overlay bugs where the NPCs are in 2 places at once, and then they kind of interact in this creepy way where they're poking out of each other's chests and stuff. So I took a screenshot of that, and it is really disturbing. And then on Bel Savis, you get to meet Freddie Mercury, as you see from the other screenshot.
Oh.
He's Freddie Mercury, after a little bit of creatine and working out, he's a little buff there. And he is a bad guy, so you have a chance potentially to kill him. But yeah, pretty amazing Freddie Mercury lookalike character on Bel Savis on the Consular story. So that was fun. During the week, I also listened to the audible version of Star Wars Life, Debt, Aftermath Part 2. And I liked it better than Part 1. Part 1 was like, it's all right. I've listened to it a couple more times, I think, since then, and it was, I did enjoy it. Some things better than others, and this one, though, was a lot more engaging. The story gripped me a lot more. A lot of the side plots and so forth were more interesting as well. And also it continues that little thing where they have the little self-contained mini-stories, just like here and there scattered throughout. And those are good, as they were, and they were sort of a highlight of the first part, I thought. And I think a lot of people thought that. And some of them are even continuations from Part 1, which is kind of fun, too. And Mark Thompson does his usual great job in narrating it. So that was good. I enjoyed that a lot. And I saw that it did make the New York Times bestseller list, so congratulations. And that was great. So that was my week, and that will bring us to the tip of the week. We've got 3 tips this week. Tio, go ahead and start us off.
The first tip is from Sinar of the Jedi Covenant server. Greetings! This isn't really an in-game tip, it's more of a Windows 10 has been driving me crazy with my game performance for a year now thing. While in game, my latency will cycle from my expected 40 millisecond response to 1400 milliseconds, that's 1.4 seconds,
Wow.
at regular 5-minute intervals. I've spent hours and lots of money upgrading my home Wi-Fi. I finally have a solution that may help others who are also using Wi-Fi to connect the computer to their router, to the internet. Turn off location services. Even though SWOTOR has admin control, as in runs as administrator, it appears that the method my older PC used for pinging my location was competing with my game connection. That's rather unusual. But anyway, thanks all and love the show. Yeah, and I don't think actually running as admin would make any difference as far as the priority of network. But anyway, that's a great solution if you're having that particular issue.
Is location services within Windows settings or would you go into your Wi-Fi settings for that?
I would assume it's Wi-Fi settings, as in you'd have to log into your router.
Okay. Yeah, that's always fun. All right. Second tip from Andrank wrote, my tip for this week is to do with a dark versus light side event. It might be worth remembering that the Shadow of Revan story drops 3 packs of common data crystals when you get to Rishi. Good for gear, or simply use them to buy companion gifts and flog them on the GTN.
Now, each of those boxes contains 99, or at least it used to, and I believe it still does, common data crystals. So, good tip.
Yep.
And our last tip is from Ben, who plays Death Trial on the T3M4 server in the EU. Greetings from Germany. My tip of the week is especially good for grinding through the starter planets if you don't have a speeder. And you can learn speeder piloting just through the regular training, auto training now, at level 10. So it used to be they had reduced it, now it's all the way down to 10, so you don't have to wait at all. If you have already unlocked your rocket boost, it's normally annoying because it has a cooldown. But if you use your random mount ability, if you have no speeder unlocked yet, it will activate your rocket boost without triggering the cooldown. So you can use it every time it runs out and allows you to complete much more in less time.
Nice.
That is a fantastic, fantastic tip. It has come up before, we have brought that up, but as a sort of interim between levels 1 and 10, that is a great idea.
Yep. All right, and by a random allotment, the winner is Sinar. Congratulations, Sinar. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday, or in this case, next Wednesday, since we're going to be recording on Thursday. That will bring us to the holo feed, Tio.
Okay, so obviously the news from Star Wars Celebration is the most important thing to cover. Yeah, such as it is. But anyway, we'll get there. So firstly, those missing 500 Cartor coins that people got from that offer, if you were targeted by that ad that appeared in your launcher. We've got more information about that from Eric Musco. He said some people did indeed miss out. They didn't get it during the maintenance that they did last Tuesday. So they have finally isolated what has gone wrong. They confirmed that they were indeed missing and people were qualified. And starting Friday this week, they'll begin granting the coins to those who missed out. So if you expected to get those 500 cartel coins because that offer appeared in your launcher, it will be coming, which is nice. So that's kind of the only sort of game-related news. Now let's go sort of bigger scale. 5 years of SWOTOR. So we've been talking about this for a while, as in the anniversary isn't until the end of the year. So it's all been clarified now. It's like they're celebrating the anniversary year. The 5th year of SWOTOR. So which technically it is.
Yep.
So there you go. And they have put out a celebrating our 5-year saga trailer on YouTube, just a 2-minute clip where they have a bit of in-game footage, that live action advertisement that I was wondering whether they'd use for the DVL event. They had a few scenes from that in this clip, as well as some pictures of voice actors, some interviews with various BioWare developers. We had James Olin talking, and just talking about the various things that have happened in SWOTOR itself over the years. And there is a page you can go to, which is swotor.com/SWOTOR5 for 5 years. They've published, and on that page you will find their 5-year infographic. There's a link to an article which has it as well.
Yes.
So let's just go through some of the numbers. The title, of course, is 87 million characters living their Star Wars stories in Star Wars The Old Republic. A lot of those 87 million characters are probably level 1. And I know I had a few until I deleted them. So, let's look at some stats. In terms of player characters, it looks like the Empire is winning. There's 43.7 million on the Empire side, 42.2 million on the Republic side. They've got the breakdown between the classes on each side. And it's Jedi Knights, for example, are 33%, Consulars 28%, Republic Troopers at 20%, and Smugglers, poor old Smugglers, at 19%.
Right.
And over on the Empire side, the mirror classes roughly match that.
Yeah.
Sith Warriors are the highest at 30% compared to 33% of Knights. 29% Sith Inquisitors, 22% Bounty Hunters, and only 19% again are Imperial agents.
Given that there are more Imperial players, according to this, and the fact that the light side is winning currently in the Dark versus Light event, does that just mean that there's more traitors on the Sith Empire
I
side?
guess that would make sense. Though, you can buy on the Empire side and still choose light side options.
I know, that's what I mean, but traitors.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
That makes no sense. Well,
I
yeah,
would've thought-
I see what you mean, but
I would have thought there would have been a lot more Imperial agents, considering people say it's the best story. I guess not.
well, yeah, you still got to
It's
actually
a-
play the things.
It's a
So
hidden gem.
yeah. People have spent over 1.5 billion hours choosing their path, basically playing the game.
Right.
We should break that down over 4.5 years and just see what that is on average. Could be interesting. We already knew about the 340 hours of voice storytelling. I guess it's gone up a bit with the additional stories they've done since launch. Equal to watching all 7 Star Wars films 22 times. Now, isn't that a meaningless statistic? Let's see. Most recruited companions, as in the most popular, presumably with Kotfi and choose in the Alliance. Lana Beniko, certainly my personal choice, and Vet.
Okay.
No surprise there, really. And luckily, not many people, or Scorpio wasn't the most picked because that could be really awkward given what happened at the end of Chapter 15.
I can
Yeah,
tell
it would
you.
have been.
I can tell you that 1.5 billion hours is, according to my calculator, 175,561 years
Wow.
equivalent.
That's ridiculous. Well, you spread that over enough people and, well, yeah. Alright, now, transports. This is your personal choice of speeder or animal mount or whatever. Apparently, 49% of people prefer Tauntauns. I honestly find that really, really hard to believe, and I wonder if they screwed up the stats here, because no way. Unless this is people owning them rather than actually riding them.
Right.
But even so, why aren't regular speeders? Regular speeders are 32%, compared to 49% Tauntauns, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
If
It
you
seems
consider
odd.
how many speeders there are in the game versus how many Tauntauns are in the game, I do find that quite surprising.
very surprising, so... Anyway... And then, of course, there's that, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, also on this page, I do mention there's going to be a monthly cartel market sale. 5 months, 5 total items. 5! Imagine that. 55% off. Yes, lots of 5s there. First one will begin August 2nd. Will run for a week, and they haven't told us what it is yet. Also on the page, I've linked to all of the trailers. Yahoo. And there's the 5-year collage project to celebrate over 87 million unique characters created by all of us. They're creating our first ever SWTOR collage project, character collage, and you're supposed to send in a headshot. 1928 by 1080 resolution, etc., etc. It's all on that page, and we can't wait to share the collage with you. You too can be a pixel in a massive collage. We'll see how that turns out. And Star Wars Celebration. Obviously, the guys have already been talking through it. The bit of particular interest to Star Wars The Old Republic. Well, is the Behind EA's Star Wars Games panel. Now, this was hosted by Warwick Davis, who is a dwarf, and played Wicket in Return of the Jedi. So, you may not recognise him, but he was inside the suit, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And he's just a massive...
As soon as I saw... Say again?
And he's just a massively famous actor, too. I mean, he's been in tons of things. From Harry Potter...
so we're all, I'm assuming? Joe, are you still there? Can you understand me?
You're roboting again. I did try popping it from very low to low earlier. I'm putting it back on very low.
Me too. Oh, this hangout is terrible. Charlie and Blake, can you understand us? Yeah,
Just about, you two were glitching.
Alright. I'm going right down to audio only, as you can probably see.
Right.
Am I roboting or no?
Or do you want me to go audio only?
You sound
you're
fine. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, let's persevere. Oh my god. That bad word I said again. Skype is an option, says Kitty, but I may actually end up doing that. Would Skype give us a backup? Could we record the video as well?
Not sure about the video, but obviously we can do the
I'm using
Skype
OBS.
recorder.
Well, we can, and I'm using OBS, so
Right.
which I could use, which would actually record as well. Yeah, okay. Unless my computer crashes, would be alright. Right, where were we? Okay, so as soon as I saw the actual panel, I realised, well, I don't think we're going to hear a lot about SWTOR here. So the way they did it, they had Warwick Davis obviously hosting, and he did a really good job. And on it were Nicholas Figreus, who's the design director from DICE for Star Wars Battlefront, John Solera, executive producer from EA, and they did Galaxy of Heroes, some subsidiary company within it anyway. Matt Philbrandt, executive producer of Lucasfilm Games, the Lucasfilm Games team.
Right.
He had a very monotone voice and was quite boring to listen to and didn't really say much, but apparently he's a guy who is the interface from Lucasfilm to all of the people making games for EA. There was James Olin, director of design from BioWare, so obviously we know about James Olin. And finally, Amy Hennig, senior creative director from Visceral. Now, just speaking about the other games first, nothing really new. It wasn't particularly inspiring. These are like designer guys, the people who make the games, not the actual anyone who would normally do marketing. So I've got to say, Amy Hennig kind of bored me about the game that Visceral's making. Hopefully the game itself is a lot more interesting than the way she described it.
Yeah, it sounded like it was kind of an awkward time in their development for her to be talking at all. There just wasn't much that she was allowed to say. So.
She still managed to bang on for a fair amount of time though, so
True.
saying pretty much nothing. So yeah, all about this
I think,
stuff about how you should do stories in games.
Right. I think she was trying really hard. I think she was kind of like trying really hard. I think she knew how little she actually had to work with, and was like fighting against it essentially.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that's been using the Frostbite engine?
Probably. I thought all their games were going to use Frostbite from going forward. Alright, anyway, let's get to the main guy, James Olin, talking about Star Wars The Old Republic, of course. Director of design, etc. these days, so he is responsible for more than Star Wars The Old Republic, but he's still based in Austin, and obviously that still takes up a lot of his time. First part I noticed from what he said, well, he described the game generally, so we all know about that. He described SWTOR as an online RPG, and that sort of jumped out at me. Not an MMO, but maybe that sort of makes more sense. It's like Knights of the Old Republic, but online, which it kind of is, I guess you could say. But a bit more on that later. And then he played their 5-year celebration trailer, and went through obviously the main things in the last 5 years, including Rise of the Hutt Cartel, Galactic Starfighter, Galactic Stronghold, Shadow of Revan, Knights of the Fallen Empire, and then the saga continues with Kotet, Knights of the Eternal Throne. And we get the screenshot, and that is absolutely all we have so far. The screenshot contains some guy with blue glowy hands, someone in the distance, which looks a lot like Senya, except she uses a lightsaber, not a light pike, which a character appears to be holding. It's on a kind of dark, broken landscape. There's a lot of bodies lying around. There appears to be a crashed starship in the background. That isn't the gravestone. I don't really recognise the style.
Seem to be, yeah.
People have said that maybe it's not Senya, though it's concept art, and it looks a lot like Senya. So, wearing the same armour, has the same hair, can't see her forehead things, but yeah, I would put my money on Senya.
Those Lee press-on nails that she keeps on the skin on her forehead.
Indeed. The blue glowy hands guy, is that meant to be us? Is it meant to be someone else? Dunno.
Hard to say.
We've got literally nothing to go on. It is coming fall this year, fall 2016, and the way the US represent fall, it's anywhere between Bilbo and Frodo's birthday, that's the 22nd of September, and the 20th of December. So, we got a 3-month window. Chances are it'll be probably late December, but we'll see.
Somebody once sent to me, I don't know if it was you, Blay, that the guy looks like he could be from the Heralds of Zildrog.
No, that wasn't me.
Somebody said that to me.
I looked at the person on the foreground, and is it definitely a man? Do we know that for certain?
No.
It's quite hard to tell from behind.
It is hard to tell, yeah. I think it looks more manly-ish, but these days you never know. You never know.
That's true. Yeah, maybe it's not a guy. Doesn't matter.
My guess was that it was Valen versus Senya showdown.
Yeah, I guess. Surely Valen wouldn't wear something like that.
I don't know. We've never seen Valen from the back, or if we have seen, well, I've only seen Valen from the front.
Yeah, okay. Yes, and literally that is it. They told us absolutely nothing else, and in thinking about this leading up to Star Wars Celebration, I realised that, well, they couldn't really, because they haven't released Chapter 16 yet. We do not know how this chapter, how Season 1 ends. We don't know what happens. They can't, and this obviously continues the story, they can't really tell us anything without spoiling it. So, all this is telling us is Senya might survive, if that's Senya.
Well, the armour is identical to Senya, and she's the only character that we've seen so far that wears that armour. Even though you could say, well, that's the general armour for an Eternal Knight. All the other Eternal Knights are in gold.
Right, and there's certainly a lot of knights who use pikes that she could have picked one off of. So.
Well, unfortunately, that's pretty much all we can speculate about right now, because we got nothing else to go on. Maybe they'll start releasing stuff after they do Chapter 16, and it's been out for a while, and everyone's had a chance to play it. Now, Spencer Quinn let us know about an article that appeared on comicbook.com, where they had an interview with James Olin, where he actually talked about Kotet, Knights of the Eternal Throne, a bit. Oh, by the way, there is a landing page, swotor.com/eternal-throne, and there's nothing there yet except the scene that they revealed that we've just been talking about. Anyway, in this article from comicbook.com, they had some stuff that James Olin was saying that kind of did flesh out more why and how they're doing this than any details about it. What he says about Kotet, it has some of the same characters, a lot of the new characters, and a lot of new characters. He also said they learned a lot from Fallen Empire, and are using that to inform the development of Eternal Throne, where they're making the story more epic and choices more impactful than they have previously.
Okay.
Good.
How choices matter.
Choices matter. Now, he did say that the Old Republic is still an MMO, and Nolan said there will be a lot of great co-op and multiplayer challenges included in Eternal Throne. However, story is the focus there, similar to Fallen Empire, but they redoubled their efforts. great key phrase there, to make the expansion attractive for their loyal subscriber base as well. Olin realises that there were things that worked and hadn't worked in the Old Republic, and that's where the focus on these new Knights expansions turned back to making you feel like you're the hero going through the journey. Now this part is key, I think. The old Knights of the Old Republic games were so popular because they made you into the Luke Skywalker of the game, giving you a band of friends you'd love to go on a galactic adventure with in real life, Olin acknowledged. We want to continue that with Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne, giving you that feeling and the story twists. And yes, they've been using the word Knights in the title of these expansions on purpose, Olin admitted with a chuckle. It's a brand new epic story with some exciting co-op content to it. Olin said in summary, the final chapter of Fallen Empire hits in a couple of weeks, and you can play the full 16-chapter game expansion start to finish then. It really feels like the spiritual successor to the Knights of the Old Republic series. So anyway, the whole point here is we thought they were doing, or at least I did, Knights of the Fallen Empire, that similar to the original Knights of the Old Republic. Simply because of the name, just to give you that feel. But it was far more than that. The choice was quite deliberate to call it that, because they really are taking Knights of the Old Republic and putting it online, where the original SWTOR effectively wasn't, in their opinion. That's what I get from this article, or this interview.
Right, or at least there was some differences, presumably because it was more MMO-ish at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, I read this article on the Sunday, and I actually got quite excited originally because I was just reading, there's going to be group content, there's going to be multiplayer. But when you really read it, it doesn't actually say ops. It doesn't say. It doesn't even say flashpoints. It just says there'll be group content. So
yeah,
I'm not
which
sure
could be anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is that we're actually going to get yet.
Exactly. War zones are technically group content too. So
yeah.
All right, let's jump ahead to the Cantina. So, firstly, we did have some Q&A that was transcribed and sent to Dolphy. Now, Anton pointed us at this, and it hasn't been verified. So, Blay and Charlie, since you guys were there at the Cantina, you can perhaps tell us just how much we can trust this stuff. A question that was put to them: why do so many questions go ignored for so long? It becomes hard to try and defend the dev team and BioWare. Why can't you just say, there will be more group content or there will be more ops? And the answer given, it came down to Shadow of Revan, because they said they'd release information about the expansion and then they had to delay by one working day, and apparently that massively overshadowed the release of Shadow of Revan, etc. I have no memory of that. Did they delay it? Did it make any difference to anyone?
I don't know. It certainly made a difference to them.
Well, or so they're telling us, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they basically don't tell us anything until they're absolutely 100% sure it's being worked on and when it will be delivered and all the rest of it.
It sounds like that change came from above too, because the way they're phrasing it is, from then on we were no longer able to announce. Right. That sounds like someone in management basically put the hammer down on them.
Yeah.
Said, we can't have this anymore. We got to be able to control our rollouts better. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Now, the next question is about why can't they just confirm anything about new group content or operations? And see previous answer, but the gist of it is that while we can't say anything because we're not allowed to, as Shul just pointed out, it seems, they emphasize that they know that everyone wants operations and flashpoints and group content, and they want to keep us happy, and they have got the resource to work on this stuff, so we can't say for certain, but chances are that's what they're doing.
Right.
Is the gist of it. And the other questions are pretty much along those lines. Someone did ask about adding new classes. New classes is something they've discussed, something they would like to do, but adding them to the original story that would stop them going forward. So it sounds like they would probably do something like a hero class, as they did with WoW with the Death Knight, in that it would be like a start at 60, which would have no original story. It would just start fresh.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's not bad. You participate in the class, participate in the story going forward. A whole new class, new abilities, and everything else. It just wouldn't have the rich backstory that the other classes have, and that's okay. And finally, will future expansions all be episodic and released in monthly intervals, as Coffee was? And the answer was, don't know. There's still... we know it hasn't gone down in the best of ways, and not everyone likes it. Some people do like the format, but we're always looking at ways to improve. In other words, they're still thinking about it. The episodic would be the easy answer. They may go for a greater period between, like every 1.5 months or every 2 months would be my guess. That would just be more practical. Yeah. Alright, so guys, Lay and Charlie, what else can you tell us about the Cantina? Starting with Charlie.
I mean, I guess I'll just sort of go through
Sure.
sort of what happened at the Cantina. So obviously I got there. I was actually at the wrong side of the Cantina because there was like a top area, because I was at the Fox at the XL. There was like the top area, and then there was like a bottom area. And I was at the top area, and there was like a few other people there as well. And I was just sort of standing there like half an hour before the Cantina was supposed to start. Like, where is everybody? Is it really going to be unpopular? Is it not as popular as I thought it was going to be? And then I just sort of realised they were sort of saying in the main queues downstairs. Went out the top area. Went across the sort of bridge area to get to the XL and the downstairs area of the Fox, and oh my word, the queue was massive. I didn't even think I was going to get in. But fortunately I did manage to get a wristband, because you need a wristband to get in. Got 2 drinks tokens, not that it mattered by the end of the night anyway, but we'll get to that in a minute. Also the little token for the swag as well, and that was kind of it. Then we just sort of all went in. Everybody started to get their drinks. I met with Blacklock. Obviously, I met with Blay there, I should say. Olib, Jess, who was Unholy Alliance. I also got recognised by Snave, so Snave actually recognised me. He knew who I was. I didn't have to be like, oh, hey, Snave. But yeah, that's good. I also met Seth Eldar, Fixer 40,000, Idamski 88. There was also somebody else who actually recognised me twice. In the Cantina, like the first time he recognised me, we sort of had a chat, and then I sort of walked away, went and got a drink, did something for like half an hour, and he was sort of speaking to me again. I was like, "Who are you again? Who are you?" And I thought he was like a completely different person, but he was the same person. So, and I forgot his name. I feel so bad that I completely forgot his name. The actual Cantina was just showing EA's obviously live stream. The projector wasn't working properly; it kept cutting out every now and then. Which really wasn't great, and it was very hard to hear as well because there was obviously a lot of talking. But fortunately, there were people. Once the SWOTOR stuff came on, everybody was like, "Shut up!" Being all British and ha ha ha. Then obviously Musco, Charles, and Ben got on the stage. They just sort of started talking about being at the Cantina and the celebration. But then they brought on their special guest, which a lot of people thought was going to be Snave. But it was actually Natasha Lorning, who is Valen, the voice actress for Valen.
Yes.
So she was just sort of asked a few questions about, what it's like to be part of SWOTOR, and just a few other general questions. There wasn't really many questions from the from Cantina attendees. It was more questions by Eric, Charles, and Ben. So yeah, they also did like an impression contest to see who would do the best Valen impression. Shockingly, the winner were actually 2 guys. Yeah, they were pretty good, I guess, but you would have thought a woman, being a woman's role, probably would have did it, but oh well. They couldn't decide who to win out of the 2, so they both won. I don't know what they won. Hopefully something good. After that, they obviously finished off the stage, and that's when the proper drinking and just sort of everybody started gathering around Musco, having a chat with him.
Right.
That's when he realised who I was. Obviously, I spoke to him on the Friday, but he didn't realise who I was then. They was all like, "Yes, I definitely know who you are." So yeah, it was great. It was great to meet him in person. Obviously, got a picture with him and all that. Now, I did actually record the Cantina as well, but the problem is, by the end of the night, everything got wiped off my computer, off my phone. I have no idea how it happened.
Man.
I think I think the reason why it might have been is prior to going to the cantina, I had actually dropped my phone, and my phone is actually cracked now. The actual screen is cracked. It still works, but I'm thinking that might have had some form of effect to why my phone doesn't work properly now, and why it just erased everything. I managed, obviously, all the pictures which I've submitted for the show notes, I managed to save before they're all erased. But yeah, so I did record the cantina, but that was completely gone. So. Unfortunately not. Fortunately, Fixer 40,000 did record like half of the stage sort of show, but there wasn't really much to see, to be honest with you. Obviously, got my pictures. They had like the green screen, which I believe they generally do every time they do a cantina. So obviously, I got pictures with Olib, Blay, Unholy Alliance. Also got a picture with Natasha and Charles. That's seriously, I got it here now in my hand, and it is. I managed to get them to sign it as well, and it is probably the best picture I've got.
It was great.
I think it's even on par with Mark Hamill. This picture is absolutely fantastic. It's just one of my best pictures that I got from the cantina. They were going to start kicking people out at 10:30. But Musco announced that we could all stay until 11, and then of course announced it was an open bar, so you could just go up there, get whatever drinks you want. It would all be on BioWare. They pay for it all. Got the free swag, which was obviously the mount code, the T-shirt, poster, which I've got over there, which I can't be bothered to go get. I managed to get Musco to sign it as well. It's a very small signature. It's the only one that
was
actually
it an
signed
Eternal Throne poster?
Oh no, it's Knights of the Fallen Empire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a poster of Arkan.
Yeah, just that general poster. Obviously 450 cartel coins as well.
Nice.
Yeah, people got drunk. Snave definitely got drunk pretty early on. Despite the rap that he gets, a lot of people sort of give him a bunch of rap online, but I guess he does that on purpose. He's actually really nice in person. He's a really cool guy in person.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Blay, you're really awesome in person as well. Olib's great. Unholy Alliance, you're all fantastic, to be honest with you. And one thing I can say that I didn't expect was going to happen, Snave licks my ear, but let's leave it at that, shall we? Yay.
All right. And Blay, what can you say about the cantina?
Well, there wasn't a lot of information like actually come out of the cantina. The questions that they asked up on stage were pretty much directed at Natasha and how she got into the game and what she thinks of the character and all that kind of stuff. They didn't actually give us anything new that wasn't already part of the stream that went out. So it was kind of disappointing from that point of view. From my perspective, I was hoping that they'd actually tell us something, or there'd be more sort of questions about the actual direction of the game, and that we'd be able to get out of them. I think a lot of these questions which are being asked and answered on Duffy weren't actually asked as part of the cantina in front of everyone. They were probably just a conversation between someone and looking at these, I'd have to say it'd have to be Ben or Musco. There's no way it could have been Charles, because Charles was doing photographs pretty much for the entire evening. He's in every single one of those photographs for people who queued up, so it's definitely not from Charles. So it's either Ben or Musco. That's the only two people that it could possibly be. I did go and ask him. I did go and see them on the Sunday and ask him some questions about group content. What is it? When can you actually tell us? I basically said to him, I know you can't tell me what the group content's going to be, but when can you tell me, or when do you think you'll be able to tell us what the group content is, to try and give us some kind of hope? And the answer was effectively, don't know, that's going to be dependent on the marketing team. So, it's like there's no news, and there's no news of when we're going to get news. Which is, was kind of
pretty rough, yeah.
I wanted a little bit more than that, really.
I mean, it's not what were we going to expect? The chapter 16 isn't out yet. It's a very tricky time.
it is a tricky time, and I do understand. You know, I'm a software architect myself, so you know, I understand schedules and things being pushed back, and you don't want to say what's coming and when it's coming until you actually know that it's going to be there, to avoid disappointment and all that kind of business. But just to be able to give us a rough idea as to a quarter of the year or something like that, you know, that would be nice at this point. I think we've waited quite a long time just for some news, any news, and then on the biggest news night of Star Wars, you know, we got a title, which is more than what we got for Star Wars 8. We didn't even get a title for Star Wars 8, but still, it would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had a good time at the event. It was great to see people. A couple of people came up to me and recognised me, which I found slightly strange. I think it's because of the T-shirt I was wearing. I was wearing the Otini Rage T-shirt, so I had people coming up asking me about the show a little bit, and then
Cool.
there's people who have been in my guild, and I've never met them before, so that was quite interesting, because they went, "Hi, you're Blay." I was like, "Hi," and then they told me who they were, and I still didn't twig that they were the person that I knew from the guild.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only when they said, "Oh yeah, I used to be in the guild," it's like, "Oh yeah, now I know." Oh, you're that. Oh right, now I understand. Yeah, so that was quite good. Plus, I did get to meet Snave as well, which is quite strange because he does live 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from me. So I travel all the way to London just to meet a person who's 20 minutes down the road.
That's great.
All right.
One quick question for each of you. What was like your favorite either moment during the weekend, or your favorite thing that you actually got? You know, a physical
Good
object.
question.
Either one.
I think for me, it's definitely got to be just a cantina, because I've always wanted to go to a cantina. And I'm just so glad that I went. Obviously, I didn't get too drunk because I had gotten drunk the night before, because I thought London, why hell not? But you know, it was great to meet people. It's just great to meet developers. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, physical object, I got lightsaber, of course. That is just very expensive.
Even better than
I
the
forgot to
photos.
mention- Sorry.
Even better than the photos of Hamill or at the cantina.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, the lightsaber is probably on par with the photo of Mark Hamill as well. But like I said, I do love the photo with Natasha and Charles as well. That's great as well. I forgot to mention as well, I did also when I was also speaking to Eric, I did also ask him a couple of questions. They're just sort of like the generic questions which everybody sort of asks. I did sort of mention on Twitter what I'd asked him. One of them was about the hood toggle, which many people have obviously requested, and he was all like, you know, every time we go to a cantina, everybody's always asking about hood toggle. They really, really, really want to do it, but they just haven't done it, so it's not coming anytime soon. They're always looking at the suggestion box on the forum, so just, you know, any ideas you have, always put it on there. They can't respond to they don't like to respond to suggestions on there. They do see them, they just don't like to respond, because it just means, you know, people will just get the
excited.
idea that they're doing it. And you know, they want to give you numbers of like minor fixes that come, because obviously you get all these patches that come out, and there's like problems which aren't too problematic, but you know, kind of need fixing. And people sort of mention, "Oh, why are you fixing this?" And Eric was saying, which I think you've told me in the past, like many shows ago, they do patch 4.5, like to say now, and they're already working on like 4.7, 4.8, or 4.9, or whatever it is. Like, most of the 2-hit persists. They also said they're trying their damn hardest to improve servers. And that was pretty how they're always taking ideas off the wall of crazy to put in the game, and then they just get put back on again, and they just don't get used until they come back off again. The circle goes.
All right, and Blay, how about you? What was your favorite moment or object that you got from the weekend?
I think my favourite moment was getting into Rogue One and actually being in there when all the stars come out, especially when the big villain, Kranich, I think his name is pronounced, came out actually in his uniform.
Oh, cool.
That was really, really good. For item, I managed to, I don't know if you can see this, I managed to get the little card, which we were all given, that had the Cantina code and the other code on it.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get it signed by Ben, Tate, Musco,
Cool.
Natasha, and
Nice.
Charles. So
Can you
I
include
managed
a
to get
picture
signed.
of that
Oh,
for us?
and Keith. I even got Keith to sign as well.
Nice.
Musco's boss. So
Yep.
Oh, and Snave signed the back. It was Snave wrote on it. So, yep, I can take a photograph of that and send that over
Thank
to you. So yeah, that was my favourite.
All right. Let's wrap up before the hangout gets any worse. All right. So that was the Cantina. We'll probably be talking about more of that in weeks to come, given there's probably not going to be any other news. So, yeah. All right. Let's just talk community briefly. Just a reminder that Daniel still has his survey up and he needs more people to do it. I'll include the link to that in our show post. And that's the news.
All right, and that'll bring us to the Academy. And this week, so Teresa presents a class on Galactic Starfighter, telling us how to fly our ships and how to play in Galactic Starfighter matches. And that will bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And Shiny writes, in your last episode, you all laughed about tab targeting being so inferior. I've been playing this game in hard mode ops and ranked PvP using my target nearest enemy or target next enemy with the tab button, and never knew there was something better out there. Please enlighten me.
Go ahead, Blay.
Well, I tend to use target closest.
Yeah,
It
basically.
depends what I'm doing, especially if I'm on a melee class. You always want to use target nearest, because otherwise you're going to run all over the map in order to try and hit your target.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything better than that.
And we certainly use tab targeting in the sense that you can scroll, like mapping it to your mouse wheel like Chill does and I do as well. But yeah, target nearest enemy is pretty much the key thing I use.
Yeah, exactly. They're just and you're basically trying to make sure that your tab is actually going to the next one you kind of intend, and it's very directly clicking on them, and also using target next friend, target next target's closest friend, target closest enemy, and that sort of thing. And yeah, but it's just when you're only using it that it gets kind of clunky. And Sith Kitty is asking, what do you all use for a mouse for gaming? And I use a Microsoft IntelliMouse Explorer 3.0, which is just sort of a high-quality 3-button or 5-button mouse. And that's because I would have one that has more buttons, but I have a Nostromo on my left hand, and that gets me all the clickables that I need.
I use a Logitech with 2 extra buttons next to the left and right buttons, and a couple of extra buttons above the scroll wheel. I don't remember what the model is, and I just use a regular keyboard, nothing too fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sort of the one you got? Is it sort of like got a blue G on it?
Whose?
Yours.
No.
Okay. Because mine is a Logitech G502. It's pretty. It's a bit noisy, I'll admit. When you click, it's like a little ping every time you click. It's obviously got some custom button mapping that you could do. You can obviously change the speed of your mouse as well with one of the buttons. You can choose how smooth your scrolling is, so you can either have it like a hard scroll, or if you press another button, you can have it very soft, very smooth sort of scroll. So if you want that, it's pretty nifty mouse, to be honest though.
Yeah, I'm looking at images of it. The difference is that one is right-hand specific, whereas I've just got one that works, it's ambidextrous, basically. Works with left and right. What about you, Blay?
I'm using and you're going to hate me for this, I'm using a Razer Naga.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that?
some people that really seem to have a downer for Razor.
Whatever
Seem to
works,
really
mate.
hate it.
Whatever works.
I was using a Mad Cat rat, and that just broke in about 2 or 3 weeks. It was just not good.
Okay. And one final question from Dekian. Question for both of you. Since many of us, and that includes both Tio and myself, are going to Celebration in Orlando, what tips would you give or wish you knew before showing up to Star Wars Celebration?
Pick a hotel that's very close to the venue.
Okay.
Take a pocket fan, because it's going to be boiling hot, especially at that time of year. All the people sort of rushing past you. Maybe I don't know. I'm not saying don't go out doing whatever in Orlando. Just be mindful of your feet, because you're going to be walking a lot. So maybe rest your feet every now and then.
Fair enough.
On the day of the cantina, be careful if you've picked a panel which is going to finish just before the cantina,
Right.
like I did, because it meant I didn't have any food that day. So that was pretty bad. And
Drinking on an empty stomach, were you?
well, I don't drink, so I'm absolutely
Oh, okay.
fine. But I was absolutely bits by the end of the night, because I'd been rushing around all day, and I went back to the hotel by 11 o'clock at night. So
Right.
I could barely walk on Sunday. But the one tip I'd give you for the queuing, there's absolutely no point trying to turn up 2.5 hours after the queues have opened if you want to try and get a wristband, because chances are you won't get in. You probably will need to queue up before. One thing that a lot of people were doing, they were taking little sort of like camping chairs, just nice little fold ones, so they could just
Right.
sit down on a camping chair. It's easy to carry it, and then they were able to take it back to their hotel rooms then, because the hotels were pretty close. Drop it off and then come back in for the rest of the day.
Huh. That's pretty clever, actually.
Yeah.
And if you're going to
I
go
wish
to a
I'd done.
cantina, don't go to the wrong door, like I did.
Yeah.
And by boiling hot, what Charlie was referring to is going to be, it averages 83 Fahrenheit at that time of year, which is like
Yeah.
28 degrees Celsius. That's not boiling hot, Charlie.
It won't be bad,
Too
but that's
hot
because
for
it's in
me.
April rather than July. So
All right,
Can't stand this heat.
wrap it up.
all right then, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, except next week when it'll be Thursday. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. Thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Charlie and Blay.
Thanks very much, guys.
Charlie? Hello?
I like the little frozen picture he's got. And we'll see you next week.
Have we lost Charlie?
Maybe.
Or he's muted himself, or he's...
Maybe he had to bail.
Oh, God. If his computer's
Well, hopefully
crashed.
not totally bail, but maybe he had to just hit the bathroom or something.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's. We'll shut down the hangout and stuff there, because this hangout is driving me nuts. And we will talk to you all next week, most likely on Thursday evening, afternoon US time,
Yeah.
by Friday. So take it easy. May the force be with you. Oh God.